This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Welcome back to Black and Privileged in America podcast, Power, Love, and Money Conversations relevant to Black people and for Black thriving, sponsored by Infinite Resources. I'm your host, Abena Sankova. Catch Black and Privileged in America podcast on all social media channels, everywhere you listen to podcasts, and on our platform, www.amplifiedsm.com, and on our YouTube channel. Today, we are welcoming a very special guest, my dear high school friend from back in the day. We go way back. We do. John Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a big deal to be here.
Okay, you got to get close to your mic. Your mic is now your love interest.
Are we good?
You are excellent. Cool. Yeah,
yeah,
so go ahead.
But like I was saying, I mean, it's beautiful to be here. I've always had a high respect for you. I've always looked up to you, so you know, just being in your presence is amazing. It's a blessing.
Well, I mean, I get the warm fuzzies hearing that. Thank you. And I feel the same way about you. As I said, you know, we go back many moons because we were like teenagers at the same time, and growing up in Des Moines, in the Midwest, in the inner city neighborhood. So
in Des Moines, Iowa.
Right. So tell me about the community that raised you, the people who wrapped their arms around you to make you the man you are today. And we'll get into that man you are today, but tell me about your origin.
Des Moines, Iowa. I love it. It's a place where I've grown to love. I didn't always love it, but I've grown to really appreciate this place, appreciate the people that are here. There was a time frame like back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it was a very traumatic experience for us in the inner city.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
a lot of people don't know about Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, it's real here. It's real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure,
and I think that's the misconception is that because we're in Iowa, that there's no hood, there's no Black people, there's no anything that could be traumatic, or you know, real life didn't happen for us here. What do you say to that?
Well, you know, they just need to get outside and see, because the world has so much to offer, especially here in Des Moines. We have a lot to offer, but through that perspective, I-80 runs through here, 235 runs through here. We have everything.
Yeah,
we have everything on a big scale in a little place. You know what I mean? So we've seen a lot. We've done a lot. You know, anybody that's grown up here in Des Moines, I can honestly say, usually what happens, the people that I know, when they go other places, they're well respected. Everywhere we go, there's a mannerism about us where we are centrally located in the middle of the country. Like, we know how to talk to people in New York. New York, they talk fast. We know how to talk fast. We know how to talk slow. Like some people down south or LA, you know what I mean? We have a little bit of everything. And I think people here in Des Moines especially, we still have a want for things because we didn't grow up with the beaches down the street. We didn't grow up with radio stations that could put us on. You know what I mean? We had to grind for everything that we had. We had to come out the mud for every single thing that we had, because even now we go to these bigger cities and the people that we interact with, they respect us, but they never heard of us. They don't know what to expect. You know, we're not known. But now the good thing about Iowa is that we don't have to go to New York no more. We don't have to go to LA, to Hollywood. You know, we could create anything we want to right here. Right here.
And I think you've done that. You have really kind of revolutionized the way that Black entrepreneurship happens in Des Moines, in the Midwest, really. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk to you about that. You're a serial entrepreneur, I like to call you, because there is not one thing that you haven't been able to do and do it well. Like, you've done so many things and have pulled them off flawlessly that it's incredible to me. So that's why I wore my tie today, to signify you about business. So I'm rocking my tie.
I really do appreciate that. But, you know, a lot of times what's behind closed doors, you know, there was a lot of headaches. You know, there was a lot of failures I've made over the years, you know. A lot of people say, oh, you know, John Martin, you know, everything you touch turns to gold. Yeah, it might appear that way.
Okay, touch me then. Come on.
It might appear that way to some,
yeah.
You know, but to me, it's like I haven't even got started yet on what I really want to do.
Well, you know, the saying goes that they see your glory, but they don't know your story.
Yeah.
So let's get into your story.
And everybody has a story.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody has a story. Everybody's might not be at the comfort level where they can tell their story or even want to tell their story, but everybody has a story. So when people say, you know, well, I have a story. Yeah, of course you do. You know, I mean, kudos to you, but we all have stories. Everybody can learn from everybody. You know, I'm a firm believer that you can learn from a baby, you know, just as long as you pay attention to it, you know what I'm saying, and really want to learn. A lot of us don't really want to learn. A lot of us, we don't really want to communicate on levels that we need. Anyway, that's
well, let's go there. I mean, because you've written a series of books about communicating, and I want to know, to your point about learning from others, who have you learned from? Because, you know, crackheads. Okay, yeah.
I mean, being honest, my mother, my mother did her thing. I learned from her. She's a small town lady from 250 people. They leave their doors unlocked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that world, but she came here all alone by herself to Des Moines, Iowa, made a life, was ostracized by her people at times, but she made a life here. She's held the same house for 56 years. She
lived in the same house for 56 years?
The same house.
That's unheard of. That's like those long marriages that no one has anymore that last for 40 and 50 and 60 years. That's incredible.
Yeah. Now, she has an incredible story, you know, and one day I would love for her to tell it, but, you know, she's got to be ready to tell her story just like everybody else. But yeah, she came here, got involved with the Black Panthers back then in the 60s.
Your mom was a Black Panther?
No, she wasn't a Black Panther, but she got involved, you know. You know how that go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and she married a Black man, and she had 3 multi-racial kids, you know, whatever the politically correct thing to say.
The wisdom changes all the time.
Back at one time it was colored, you know, you say colored or whatever, but now it's different, you know, so, you know, she raised 3 of us by herself, going through the struggles. In Des Moines, Iowa, we used to walk from Allison Street by Broadlines all the way to the Wilkie House. And she used to pull me in a red wagon.
That's at least like 2 miles, 2 or 3 miles.
To get the commodities, the beef, the pork, all that, you know.
That good old cheese.
Yeah, so to see strength like that, that's who I learned from. I learned from my stepdad. He was a stone cold dude from North Carolina, lived in New York, lived in Cali, lived all over the world, but had an addiction. He got addicted to drugs. Now, did that make him a dummy? No, I learned so much from this dude. Like, he was just an incredible, he could retain information like crazy. You know, he was just a smart individual, but he didn't know his powers. He didn't know that this side over here is not for you. They're trying to take you because you're powerful. He's a powerful individual. Everywhere he went, he exuded that. Yeah. There's too many of us like that don't understand that if we don't know who we are when we're moving, if we don't go full-fledged with that, we're going to fall victim to everything that they have up against us. The food, the drugs, the entertainment, social media, you know what I'm saying? We're bigger than all that.
How did you, when you say that you learned these things like from your mom and seeing how she was able to build a life and thrive in spite of what she was dealing with, and your stepdad who was a powerful individual who may not have realized the kind of power he had, but he did the most powerful thing a person can do, and that's drop those gems on your own children. I think,
man, he was crazy.
So tell me specifically, like what are a couple of the main things that you got from your mom and your stepdad?
I learned dysfunction, but I also learned resilience. You know, I used to roll around, you know, back in the 90s, roll around and you know, I was involved with some illegal activities and stuff like that. But as I'm rolling around, I see my dad out, strung out. So I pick him up, give him a couple of dollars. I knew he was smoking them, you know what I mean? But I give him a couple of dollars and maybe take him to go take a shower somewhere. You know, he might be on a 3-day binge. And, you know, I'll take him to get him cleaned up. But he would drop so much game on me like, hey, man, watch yourself out here. Don't trust nobody. You know, like there was a lot of things that was his truth.
Yeah.
Now, necessarily today, I want to trust people. I want to. You know, in order to build, you have to. But those things that he dropped on me, that was what he believed. And he was so strong about things that he believed in, I couldn't help but to respect that. Regardless of the side that he was on, regardless of what he was saying, I still had to respect it. You know, and that's where a lot of us don't respect each other's opinions. Like, a lot of this stuff is not right or wrong. It's the matter of perspective. You got to go through some things to learn some things. I seen my dad. He used to be a real prominent fella in here. Once he went to prison, did all that. He got out. He started a nonprofit organization, put half the city on with all kinds of different things. And I started to see a guy rise and start to see his power, but he didn't deal with those addictions that he had. You know, they were overpowering. So I seen a man 220, healthy, riding Cadillacs and all this and that, to somebody maybe 160 pounds, soaking wet, you know, smelling like body odor for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Dried up. I seen the transformation, and that was important for me to see that. Like, I seen both sides. I'm like, man, I don't want no parts. You know, the addiction aspect of, you know, I don't want no parts of that. But
the flip side of that, like you said, he was influential and he pulled a lot of people along with him as he made those advancements. Yeah.
So the reason why I bring him up is because my quest in life is to really connect people, really to, you know, have people have a understanding of each other. Like, we could get so far if we just understood others' perspectives. We don't have to agree on everything. Most of the people that I'm strong with, that I got a bond with, I done fist fought.
I think it's true. You know, on The Matrix, there's a line that somebody says, you don't truly know a person until you fight them.
Yeah. So, or been in heated arguments, and Mr. Jonathan Narcisse, me and him used to go at it on the phone.
That's my guy, yeah.
Till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And he would tell, he would always have a story that I would have no idea about history. He'll bring up a year. I'm like, man, are you just pulling this out the hat or something? Like,
random year
really
in 1942?
Yeah. But it was good conversation, and we respected each other. Mm-hmm. Man, why can't we respect each other just because we have a difference of opinion? Why is that an issue? Why do people hold grudges like that? My whole quest is to be able to get people to understand each other and come together and just live peacefully, because we can actually really do that if we just took time to, even if we're judgmental, we could be judgmental, just understand. You could be, there's nothing wrong with judging something if you can understand multiple ways to look at this perspective this individual has. But a lot of us don't take the time to look past our own emotional response, our own emotional ideas.
Now, how do we do that without, you're talking about passing judgment without understanding. So how do we get to a place where we're able to understand each other without passing judgment on each other when there's, we contend with social media, we contend with all of these technological battles, you online looking this way, and so I feel like I got to compete with you. And how do we contend with that? The idea of being connected, being in community, having relationship as people in the same city, trying to do well without, all of the overarching things that we have to face.
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's a needed question. We have to have that question on several different platforms, because this is the thing. We have to want to be able to understand. We have to want to learn. We have to want to find the good in the individual. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to find something bad. Like just like with my dad when I used to pick him up. I was a young man trying to figure things out. I wanted to hear a dad's perspective on things. So yeah, I listened. I met him halfway. Regardless of the language he was speaking, regardless of all the stuttering, regardless of everything, I was trying to sift through it to hear something. We don't do that. We look at somebody, how they're dressed, and be like, nah, he can't tell me nothing. Like, why? Like, that's the most ignorant thing in the world to me. Because just like Craig Farley, me and Craig Farley.
Yeah, we had Greg on the other week.
Yeah, that's my guy. Now, there's two things about Craig Farley that I really admire in him. There's several things. There's three things, main things. He's very family oriented. I love it, and that's one thing that I learned about him when we first met. So how we met, I was trying to figure out a way to do. I just started promotions. I just got out the illegal side of things. Honestly, be honest with you, and I was trying to start promotions. I seen social media. I seen Facebook. I'm like, man, I could connect these people. We could have some good events. We could do this. We could go after the school system and try to change some things. That's when I really thought that the power. That's another story. I don't even want to talk about that. Anyway, but back to me meeting him. So we get together. The whole purpose was, I was thinking in my head, a lot of rappers were coming to me talking about, hey, share this, do this. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Because they knew that you had this broad reach of people.
I was starting to.
Yeah.
I was starting to. They felt my momentum, I guess. Energy's everything, Energy's everything. So maybe the energy, everything was aligning. So anyway, I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm throwing these comedy shows. Let me see. Let's come up with a theatrical cipher, not a regular cipher. Like, that's not going to get anybody's attention. But let's do something to where we set up scenes and actually do like a video of different segments and stuff. And I was like, man, I need a cameraman to come out with this. I didn't know Craig Farley from anything. I had a meeting. I had about 5 people there. I'm telling them the idea that I have, telling them how I want to spin it, boom, boom, boom. And I think Craig followed up with me afterwards, and I seen a want, right? We back to the want, right? I seen a want in him. Mm-hmm. So we have a meeting. We set up, man, we spent like a whole month in his basement going over different things. He's showing me the layout, like how the camera, like he could do the camera. I'm showing him different ways of like the scenes, how we want things set up. I'm getting the connections with the malls and stuff so we can do certain things and just bring a different look. Because I'm not trying to do nothing that anybody's ever done. Like, and I know nothing's new under the sun, but my spin is, that's new, so I would like to do something different. We could have just did a cipher and called it that, but we did a theatrical one. We brought people all over the city. It was a powerful thing. And after about 30 days, I backed up from Craig because I was like, man, Craig got this. That's what he proved to me. Because
wow. Okay, so hold on. You mean to tell me that you saw his skill and leaned back so that he could do what he does?
I leaned back. I said, you know what? You got the we already had the plays in motion, the scenes and everything how we wanted to do. We coordinated the scenes. Yo, do your thing. Do your thing. I'll do what I'm good at over here. You do what you're good at. And then we start to build, But it had to take the want for us to do that. See, a lot of us get together. We want to do this, do that. We already have an agenda in our mind before we come to the table. So it blocks everything that we can do. Because if you already have an agenda, then I have an agenda. And if they don't match 2-3 meetings down the road, it's over. It's over.
And it's happened. That's how come we are not able to collaborate effectively overall in this city, is because of that right there.
I believe so. But, I'm not going to down talk the city. I think it's just
I mean, it's not down talk. Don't you think it's just keeping it real? I mean, that's in my opinion, it's saying this is what our issue is. Yeah. Now can we fix it?
Yeah. you're definitely right, but you got to put those disclaimers out there because people perceive what you're saying. People interpret it however they want to. So I'm just saying, hey, no, I'm not down talking them because I know somebody could twist my words up and say, oh man, you talking about the city. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just to put that out there. But I really believe that if we genuinely want to change some things, we don't got to go to the Capitol and ask them, hey, can we march? Can we put these signs up? Oh, and then they say, oh yeah, you can tomorrow at noon on a Saturday. We're not going to be here, but you can come do that. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
So now you're hitting something here that John, you're so amazing. So are you suggesting that our real way to build ourselves as a community is economic?
I definitely believe that. I believe that we can't do nothing if we don't have any money. I'm sorry. Like, we can't do anything. We can't, if we don't know how to generate money, then how are we going to teach our kids how to generate money? How are we going to even give them the knowledge to even maintain their money if we don't know anything about getting money? If we don't know anything about having money? We have to experience money in order to, that's what we use for currency, right? That's what we use for power. I can pay you $20 an hour and have you do whatever I want you to do for me. That's crazy.
It is. Yeah.
So if we're selling ourselves out for $20 an hour, might as well learn how to make the $20 an hour on our own so we can put this 20 with this 20 with this. Now, there's so many things that, and I don't know. I hope I don't ever come off like I'm preaching, like I'm trying to talk down on anybody, because I know how some people can take your words and flip them, you know, just because they want to not understand. They want to have an issue. So they'll twist your words, and without even really knowing you, you know, like when I started writing books, and I'll say this real quick. I have been very, very appreciative of everyone that has showed love with my books. Like, it's crazy. And I know we had this conversation when you became an author, that first review.
Yes.
Ain't it like, it's crazy what the energy that you get from
people. It's the energy, and just knowing that you put something out into the world that someone is responding to in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's transformative. It's really is.
Now think about it like this. That review that you got, it was incredible, and it gives you energy. It gives you energy. We get energy from each other. You know, a lot of us isolate ourselves and wonder why we're having so many issues learning ourselves, because we don't have the energy. Yeah,
I agree with you. It's becoming aware that it's when you are around other people.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have the same goal in mind or whatever, it's when you can see yourself in totality is when you are within a community of people.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you have so many people that are trying to down what you're doing, that's energy too. Energy transfers. It doesn't deplete itself. So if you feel that review and you're like, wow, this is amazing feeling, like I feel incredible. If you don't check yourself and make sure that you are able to not get caught up in that, because if you do, as good as you feel about the good review, somebody can say something demeaning and try to destroy you, you know, or try to mess your energy up, and that can have the adverse effect as the positive review.
Absolutely.
Either way, you know what I mean. So when we put that Cypher sessions together, I had a conversation with an individual that was on there, and I told him, if you're not ready to be like Oprah, then don't start with this, because once we put this out there, it's up for the people. It's up for the people to decide. And if you aren't strong up here, like Oprah in the 80s and the 90s, you couldn't go to any grocery store in America without seeing a tabloid slandering her. They talked down on her. They talked about her weight. They talked about everything. And this is a public figure. They allowed this to happen. And you remember the Inquirer?
And they would talk about her hair, her weight, her teeth. They would talk about her fingernails because she wasn't getting manicures, and then she put on the fake nails. I remember all that because we was Oprah watchers in my house. So yeah, I mean, if you're not able mentally, if you're not strong enough and prepared enough within your own self to be able to withstand whatever comes as a result of what you put out into the world, then maybe it ain't time to put it out.
Maybe it ain't time to put it out, but maybe it's time to just really get yourself together. A lot of us don't have time. See, I wrote a book called 8 Conversations to Have with Yourself, because the biggest conversations that you have with an individual is going to be with yourself and with your God, whatever you believe in. But you're with you can't escape yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself one day, you can't escape that. You have to be telling yourself the right things.
Now I want to ask you a question about that, because 8 Conversations to Have with Yourself is part of a series. In order, as a writer, I know that in order to write certain things, like, you have to have your own experience about it. So what were some of the conversations that you had with yourself that prompted you to write this book?
So they tried to diagnose me with ADHD back in the day, and I'm pretty sure I have that, but if there is a such thing as ADHD, it's not a negative thing. So I had to have a conversation with myself to say, hey, look, I'm able to manage multiple things at once. What's wrong with that? If I'm in a conversation here and I think about something else during this conversation, what's wrong with that? Like, that's normal. The way that they tried to test me for ADHD was they had me sit. I'm like in 2nd, 3rd grade. They had me sit still for 60 seconds. Who can do that? What's the reason for this?
I can hardly do that right now.
Why would I ever want to?
Yeah.
Why would I ever need to do that? Like, so if I knew then what I knew now, then I would have understood that it's okay to not be programmed. It's okay not to go this way when everybody's going, but you could go this way and still be still do your thing, still have a positive outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? But it took a lot of me conversing with myself over the years. I had to be my own best friend sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you preaching to the choir.
So, but a lot of us don't have good, a lot of us, and me too at one time, we don't have good relationships with ourselves, even when we look in the mirror. Like, how can you smile and be happy every day if you're not coaching that person that you see? If you're letting everything else consume you, 90% of the stuff that we're consuming is destroying us.
Can you give some examples?
90% of the things that we go through on a day-to-day is destroying us. First off, I run a marketing company. I learned about marketing over the years, and I understand that there's certain colors that are used to persuade us to, like, red makes you hungry. McDonald's uses red. Like, there's certain things, like, we can't go anywhere without something trying to play a trick on our brain. Now, is that a bad thing? Maybe not. Some things are. But it's not a bad thing if you have the right conversations with yourself and understand some things. You understand, like me wanting to talk with my dad and sift through all of the highness that he was going through at the time, I still was wanting to learn some things and wanting to understand. Understanding is everything. Understanding is everything. Understanding could get you to talk with somebody across the room that you've beefed with for years. As long as you're willing to and want to have an understanding with this individual, you can have it. But we're programmed to not trust anybody. Like my pop said, don't trust anybody.
Don't trust anybody.
So in the media, what I'm seeing right now is the worst thing that we can do as a people, the very worst thing that we can do as a people, to me, like I said, I don't know everything, but to me, the very worst thing we could do is go at each other's head and split these these males going against females. I mean, it is crazy right now how we are going at each other's heads. Like, we didn't grow up in the same dysfunctional households. Like, we don't know that there was some things on both of our ends that we need to work on. It's not just, oh, well, men do this and women do. Man, it's crazy right now. I can't even go on social media without seeing
some type of beef. Yeah.
It's like, what is the deal? Like,
so what are you saying, John? Are you saying that we need each other? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying we need to know we definitely need each other, because before before my time, I could only go off of what I heard. We were established. We had families.
Oh yeah, there were family
We had
units.
families. You know, we had a lot of families. You know, and we know what the destruction of a family does. We know the absence of what a father does in the household. 83% of the kids that 83%. What is it? I just did a report not too long ago, but it's higher than 70% of people that are incarcerated come from fatherless homes. Like, we know what the deal is, but we don't pay attention to, we don't try to understand that you had a messed up childhood too. We come from trauma. We come from trauma. I don't know anybody that came from a Huxtable household, even though that they did the right thing, the marketing, they did the right thing, pushing that agenda to get everybody to go to college.
Right. I think the Huxtables, the Cosby Show, was aspirational.
It was aspirational
for a lot of people.
It was aspirational for a lot of people, but you see how they cut that off? Because the agenda was to get everybody to go to college. See, back in the 70s, you could get a trade right out of high school. You get a trade right out of high school. You didn't have to go pay some money to go do that. You could be a plumber and live 40 years. What was the plan? 40 years. You live and retire. Yeah. And they had that whole shebang in the 70s. But the 80s came. Oh,
and man, so did crack.
They put the crack out there. I'm firsthand. We used to sell a lot of. Well, I used to sell a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't a big dealer. You know what I'm saying? But it was around me so much that I had to engage. But that's a whole different story. You know, but what I'm saying is this about the education, right? The Huxtables, they put that in front of national TV. Which was a beautiful show. But to me, I'm just going off of what I think. I think it was an agenda to get everybody pushed, trying to go to college, because Another World came on right after that. That was a whole college experience. It was for us to pay our money, pay money for education. And then boom, now they're not putting no money into education.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, because we on it now. So after the Cosby Show, the spinoff was A Different World, and it was about college life for the Cosby kid. Beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. And they pushed HBCUs. Mm-hmm. So do you think that's still a part of that same agenda that you're talking about, even though it was HBCUs that they were putting to the forefront? Because I remember seeing Theo and Denise wearing the sweaters, the HBCU shirts and sweaters. And so they were always putting black colleges and universities in the forefront. What do you think about that? Does that make a difference?
Yeah, pretty much, because I believe that all college institutions are ran by someone that's not us. You know, there's still some agendas in that line, and I don't know a lot about that. You know, I don't talk about things I really don't know. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm an expert on this, and this. But I will tell you what I think, and I will tell you why I think that. You know, and I have research and, you know, things to back that up. But I think that the agenda was to get everybody to go to college, you know, because why else would they take it out of high school? They realized they could make money with that. 90% of the people that go to college don't graduate. They regret going, or not 90%, but there's a huge percentage of people that regret going to college. I worked at Wells Fargo, sitting next to people that had degrees, making the same amount of money that I'm making, and I barely graduated high school. I had to go to a placement to graduate high school. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, there's nuances, and I wonder. I think about that because I'm a non-traditional college student. It took me a while to get out of high school too, John. Let me just tell you, the struggle, right? And then college was something that I thought about but put off for 25 years and then decided to go back. My only regret in that regard is that now my energy level for sitting in a classroom listening is something it's a force. I mean, my energy level, I struggle with that. But that to be said, I think what you're speaking to is your fortitude as a family man yourself to make a way in the world that we're living in without all of the accoutrement
that other people might have. Like you're sitting at a place, like you were saying, you were working at a place sitting next to people who are college educated. I think that speaks more to your ability and your ability to utilize your skill set in an innovative way without the degrees. I think that speaks highly of you. You know what I'm saying? I just do. That's one vantage point.
I appreciate that. You know, I never looked at it like that. I looked at it like, you know, this is an entry level job that I'm in. The educational system trained me to do things like this entry level employment, and it was it worked. It worked, but there's so many people that are on levels that are not enjoying where they're at, because at some point you get to a age where you start really looking at things and you're like, hold up, this ain't right. This ain't right. And it's not just your experience. See, I'm an empath. Like I really, people call me a lot and tell me their stories, and I try to understand. I want to understand. And the more and more I look at certain things, I'm like, man, we've been kind of bamboozled.
What do you mean? Because now you sound like Malcolm. He said we've been hoodwinked, run amok, bamboozled. Yeah, all of that
on every level, like on every single level. All right, so let's look at social media, right? Social media set up. It's a beautiful thing. I thought it was a beautiful thing at one time, because it gives us a platform to talk with each other and get to want to understand. So I've learned so much off of social media. What I've learned most is that people respond emotionally.
Yeah.
You know how many people have called me to apologize because of how they talked on my post, because they had a misunderstanding of what I was saying, you know? And then there's times where I've actually looked at a post and I'm like, and then I had to go back and read it. You know, we all have that. We need to understand that about each other.
We do. We really do. And I actually teach a class on the four most predominant ways to respond to information. And one of them is emotions. Then it's beliefs, whether, you know, your belief in the rightness or wrongness of a thing. It could be an action, taking social action. Some people are doers, so they respond by doing something about it. And other people respond with their intellect, their thinking and what they've researched or learned, or their lack of. And so knowing just that, and there are many other ways to respond to information too, but those four they stand out to me. So knowing how you respond as an individual to information, and then being able to perceive where other people are on that spectrum can take you a long way with your marketing, with your promotions, with your understanding people.
Understanding.
Really.
Yeah. We keep going back to that understanding. But we gotta want. Like once we lose our want for anything, it's a wrap. We gotta have them conversations with ourselves to get us back. You know what I mean? Because that one is everything. But let's take social media. It was built. Whatever the reason was that it was built. Okay, we got that. But there's so much power that we can have in social media by connecting with. I mean, I've met so many different people all over the world. Like this is an opportunity to think globally.
It is. I believe that. I mean? We're global citizens.
Yeah, we're global now. Like this is so when you think of social media, I think of being productive. I think of creativity. I think of learning others, you know. But the more and more what's pushed on social media, because they have control over it, is us arguing, us fussing back and forth, us showing fights, us doing it. Like those types of things, it's not so much that we love that. It's that they're controlling what we see.
That doggone algorithm.
The algorithm. Like, you know, I could say, hey, I want some chicken. And next thing I know, I'm getting an ad for crispy, crunchy chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's so freaky, though. It never fails to freak me out when that happens.
It's just, we have no control. None. Now you have to pay to get people to see your ads and stuff, which I get it. It's a business. At the end of the day, social media is a business, but we gave all our control to that. And now a lot of us are looking at it like, oh, this ain't good, because all they got to do, the truth don't even matter no more. all they gotta do is post something, and people ain't even reading what they post. People are reading how many numbers, who's liking this, who now it just creates so many followers.
Yeah, followers, sheep, essentially. Yeah,
because we're visual people. A lot of us, I mean, let's face it, a lot of us don't comprehend what we're reading. We're very emotional when we read, and we see certain things, but we pay attention to those numbers. I'm telling you now, there's been times where I'll look at a post and I'll like it, but everybody else loved it, so I'll go back and love it just because I don't want them to think that person to think that, oh, I just like it.
Okay, but doesn't that conflict with what you said about, everyone going one way, but being okay with being the one person going a different direction?
Exactly. But I'm no saint. I fall victim too. Mm-hmm. It's a constant conversation that you have to have with yourself. You have to check yourself every day.
For sure.
Because there's times where you'll fall into something like, I got to get it back. Man, what am I doing? I'll be sitting there on social media for 20 minutes looking at scrolling, and then I'm like, I got to get back. That's just another example of how it's got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're not perfect.
No, we're not perfect. But I think what you're giving us is an understanding, there's that word again, of the fact that we don't have to be perfect. We're human.
Right.
And it's okay.
Right.
I think that's important. And I could talk to you all day, and I really, really want you to come back, John, because we're not done. We're literally just getting started. But I've got to wind us up here shortly. Okay. I've got a couple more questions for you. I really want to know, what is the hardest part of doing what you do? Because you do so much. I mean, you are an entrepreneur, you're an author, you're a father, you are a presence in our community and around the country. What is the hardest part of being John Martin?
The hardest part I battle with probably is trying to separate business from anything else. Because I'm a firm believer, and my dad told me, life is a business. Your life is a business. But there's a lot of people that have different mindsets, and sometimes we don't click because of how they're taught and how I'm taught. And I wish we could get to an understanding. That's my battle. I want to understand why, if you tell me, hey, be here at 12 o'clock, and the next 45 minutes I don't hear from you, and I'm like, what's going on? I want to know what's that mindset like? Like what? Like why are we? Why do you think of time differently than I think of time? What is important to you that makes it to where you put off letting me know that you're going to be late for 45 minutes?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, there was a time for me where I was chronically late to everything, right? And I was on the elevator rushing, and somebody was some other person who I didn't know was in the elevator, and they said, oh, you must be running late. I said, well, time is a social construct. Ha ha. Yeah. And he looked at me and said, oh, spoken from someone who's probably running late. So, yeah, I mean, people do have different concepts of time and other principles that are valuable to other people. I think it's, do you think that it could be lack of knowledge or just a difference in values?
Just a difference in values. I wouldn't say lack of knowledge, because I think, man, there's so much that each individual brings to the table. They might not know it, but people can see. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What is a legacy? Because you're a dad. I love that about you, that you're such a dad, and you don't mind being a dad and a businessman. Some people, shield certain parts of their lives, and I know to a certain degree we have to.
We have to. Yeah.
But what is the legacy that you hope to leave not only to your children, but to the next generation of business leaders?
The legacy, I want people, when they think of John Martin, I want them to think of the person that just keeps going. You know what I mean? Like, you try different things. Like, you're supposed to live life and experience things and want to help out when you can, and just be that individual that is resourceful. You know, being a dad, like I was having a conversation earlier with somebody. Anytime that I'm around some kids or people in general, I feel like I'm a protector. That's how fathers are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we have that added, oops, my bad. We have that added sense, like when we're alone, we're cool. But when people are around, we have to
be on
shield.
alert.
We have to shield.
Yeah.
We have to look for them. We have to be another set of eyes. And that's very important to me. Like that's what I think of first when I'm around other people. Like if something was to break out right now, you know, you're good. That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. That's what I want people to. I just want people to feel safe around me. I want people to be able to be themselves. You know what I mean? And the legacy is not so much what I do, but what kind of feeling I give you when you're around me. What kind of energy do I let off for you? You know, how did I make you feel? That's all. You know what I'm saying? Even with my kids, like they are gonna do. Life is their journey. They're gonna do what they want to do at some point. I just hope that I instilled enough in them to realize that if you try something and you mess up, oh well. Scrape off your feet, dust your shoulders off, and keep going. Like it's okay. Like we're supposed to try as much as possible. We're supposed to meet as many people. There wouldn't be 8 billion people in the world if we wasn't supposed to meet a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the resources is here. Like let's use what we have. That's all.
Amazing. So you, in the spirit of your entrepreneurship, you have some products with you. You're wearing Sebastian Cho glasses.
Cho. Yes, ma'am.
Sebastian Cho, and then you got the bag.
Yes, I have a bag. So I have designer sunglasses, and I've sold sunglasses for years. I really like the art of putting people together. You know, I kind of call myself like a personal stylist.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I'm able to dive into this, and I'm excited. It's a new venture for me. I got these bags. I got a team producing these.
What is this called?
This is a chest. I call it a chest bag. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just call it a purse. Some people might call it a sling bag. I call it a chest bag though.
A chest bag. So you wear it across your chest. Like those are popular.
Yep.
And it's beautiful. I mean, can I touch it? I want to touch it. That is beautiful. Sure. It's heavy. I kind of want to know what you got in it, but I ain't going in your bag, John. I'm not going to do it. But you said the leather softens over time. Yeah.
It's a good grade of leather, and it's a great grade of leather, and they're stitched to perfection. What I do with the bags right now, I just purchased a leather sewing machine, so I'm.
You're doing this yourself?
When I find some time, I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
But for the time being, no, I'm not. But I am dyeing them. I customize the colors and everything. I have 3 different colors for the signature line. This is called a boss bag right here because it has 3 different colors. The classic orange, coffee brown, which is the signature color. This is considered a gold, and then it has the black. I didn't want to create like an all black bag because from a distance, can't really tell it's a Sebastian Cho bag. So this is different. I just made it different. Put the tassels on, and
And your logo. So this pyramid. Tell me about the pyramid.
Pyramid is 7 layers, right? And a pyramid with the sun over the top. So the sun is for energy. The pyramid means. We come from people that use science and mathematics to create things that have lasted generations and decades and millenniums and just forever, 6,400 years. So I want to build products that are built to last as well. I think that we can all create something and leave it in this world to be better. And to last through everything.
Where can we find this? What's your website?
SebastianCho.com, www.sebastiancho.com. And then I have a whole spring line of glasses. Bear with me, though, because
I'm sure you're in so much demand that you can't keep the shelves stocked.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
It was a little overwhelming to start. Like, I put something out there, and then it was just, I didn't know in 2024 what they call man bags would be like the biggest trend. I had no idea. I didn't know. So if you see, I mean, everybody's wearing, every man is wearing these bags now, or not every man, but
everybody is wearing these bags in some form. And I think to purchase something so trendy and so, of good quality, I wish you all could touch it, because I'm sitting here touching it and I'm literally like going to get one. This is the one I wanted, man bag, not the boss bag, but the boss bag. Gosh, let me get it right. The boss bag, that's the one I want. And so that's the one that I'm going to get. But it's good quality material, and why not purchase something that's so sleek and elegant from a person that we know and that we love.
I appreciate that. And then, now it's kind of a necessity, because
it is.
Nowadays, I'm always running out the house, and I might forget my keys or my AirPods or something. I got to keep running back. Ever since I started carrying a bag, I'm just a little more organized.
And we know this, ladies. We know this because we've been doing this. So it's about time y'all caught up. But this is a great way to catch up to us. I love it.
Now, everything's gender neutral, though. Like the whole line, the whole sunglasses, everything is all gender neutral. It's 2024, so it's time for that.
Wonderful. So as is our tradition on Black and Privileged in America podcast, I always ask the guest to share the title and author of a book that you've read or that you are currently reading that's moved you, challenged you, changed you. Now, I'm sure you're going to name one of your 50 billion books that you've written. No. Please share those out with our listening audience.
Well, definitely 8 Conversations That Have series is a great series. But what inspired me to write, I've always been a writer, but what inspired me to be okay with my style of writing was Damon John.
FUBU.
Damon John, creator of FUBU. His book Power of Broke. I accidentally stole it from a airport in Dallas on my way back. I was buying this and I had it like this, so I walked out the little shop at the airport.
The airport shop.
And by the time I realized what happened, I was already seated in the plane. I'm like, man, I done stole this book. I was like, man, I better read this book since I stole it. Right,
you better read it twice. Right.
So as I'm sitting there reading it, I'm like, man, he's just having a conversation. Like it wasn't talking over me, under me. He was just talking to me. That's why I felt it. I was like, man, I could do this. Like I could write too. Like I don't want to talk over anybody. I don't want to talk below. I just want you to understand. Like, and that's where Damon John is a beast. The name of the book was Power of Broke. The content's great, but the way that he delivers, the way that he spits it, it's like, it's definitely good. Wonderful.
The Power of Broke by Damon John. So it's not only what he's saying, but how he's saying it. Yeah. That's great. John, thank you so much for being here and gracing the studio.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. It's a blessing.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Man, that wraps up another insightful episode of Black and Privileged in America podcast. A huge thank you to my guest, John Martin, for sharing his perspective and his experiences. He's an amalgamation of timing, purpose, all good things, love, and community. And I appreciate him for being here. So for you, remember, stay engaged, stay curious, and stay blessed. Thanks for listening. Until next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.